Hi everyone, thanks for joining us again for another Creative Aging program. Today we've got a kit from Collective Pueblo to make ourselves some really pretty flower pins in anticipation of spring. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our kit and see what we've got here. I think we've got enough supplies in this kit to make two. Alright, so we have floss, we have felt, we've got some circles, and some scraps of pretty calico fabric. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So what we're gonna do basically is gonna stack everything all up together. So I am going to go ahead and get started with 2 circles, 2 leaves, and then we'll be cutting out from these fabrics some other circles. And they don't have to be perfect circles. I think that's the fun trick about these is I'm going to cut this part with pins off, put it over there, but they don't have to be perfect. So the reason we're going to stack these 2 together is to give it a nice firm base. Then so I'm going to cut a circle out of this felt. There. Nope, I don't like that little end there, so I'm going to trim him off. That can go there. I'll make a smaller little circle and out of felt. There's something outside of my office that's whistling. I think it's somebody's cell phone. I don't actually know what it is, but it is distracting. I'll tell you that much. I don't need any help being distracted. There's that. And then I'm gonna just pick one of these guys I think is cute. I'm gonna go with this fella and cut another circle out of him to put on top. This would be one of those, I think, instances where if you had a button or something, it would be real cute on the top of this too. So what's really funny is that my felt scissors do not cut actual fabric very well, and my fabric scissors don't cut felt very well, and I don't feel like switching them back and forth, so I always end up kind of stuck. Anyway, so that's how we're going to make that sandwich for the flower there. And before we sew it all together, we're going to also kind of mock it out, and then there's going to be 2 green leaves kind of like that. Nice. So I'm going to actually start by sewing my lovely little stack of fabric here onto the lighter gray felt circle. And I think it would be really attractive, personally, if we decided to sew them not in the center. So your eye is really visually excited by things that are off center or that are odd numbers. So we're gonna go ahead and put that off the center there. And I'm gonna get some needles out of my needle case. If you don't have a needle case, that's fine. You don't have to be quite as nerdy as me, but I really like that I have a needle case. And I'm going to go ahead and do some of this, I think in this yellow. Yellow I think would be pretty. I thought about the blue, but I think I'm gonna go with the yellow to start with. Get my needle out, and we're gonna hope I can thread it the first time around. I know that this is being aired on a different day than usual. That's because my supplier had a COVID shot and we weren't sure if we could get the kits in time. So in anticipation of maybe her not feeling good, we went ahead and changed the date. And we did manage to get the kits kind of 11th hour, but kept the date changed because it just made more sense. All right, so I'm going to sew this fellow on first, and I'm just gonna, I think, sew him with a running stitch. Here we go, just real quick. Just give it a cute little dashed look around the edges here. I always say real quick. This is supposed to be slow stitching, of course, that meditative practice that you take your time and do. And you guys can take as much time as you want to. I just do it relatively quick and simple so that it can get done in a relatively fast amount of time, and you guys can go ahead and craft whatever you'd like after you watch the video and see me doing it. And then of course you can always pause the video, rewind the video. That's always nice too. That's the nice part of doing things this way. I think once we open up to the public, I'm still gonna have a lot of my stuff go virtual as well, just so that folks at home can watch it, or if you go to a class and are really interested in what happened, but you can't maybe always remember all the steps, then this is a really good way to refresh your memory on what we learned in class that particular day. All right, so I've got that sewed on. I just took it with me too. Silly me. It sort of looks like an egg, if you ask me. And we're gonna stack these two on top, and then actually I think what I'm gonna do is just kind of come through these two up in the middle somewhere. This is gonna be a lot of fabric to go through, so I'm gonna just hope really hard that I can get it. And how am I gonna put these together? I think I'm gonna do a little French knot, because you all know I like to do French knots now that I've learned how to do them. And look at how cute that is. I like that. So I'm going to do a couple more. So for those of you who maybe haven't seen me do this before, I wrap the kind of working end of the thread around the needle a couple of times, stick it back in almost the same spot, hold that working thread tight until I get up close to it, and then let it go. And that's how you make the knot. So thrilled that I learned how to do that. It's kind of ridiculous. So I'll do a couple more of these. And sometimes my manual dexterity isn't as good as I'd like it to be, but I think that can be said for all of us. So maybe 1, 2 more? What do we think? 5? 5's a good number. One more. This blue guy, he's just causing me all kinds of grief. All right. All right, there we go. There's that. And so what I'm going to do is tie this yellow thread off. I think we're done working with it. And go on to making our sandwich. If I can get it tied off today, we'll see. There we go. All right, so I'm going to take that guy and this fellow, put them together, kind of like that, I think. And then I'm just going to sew them all together. And this is where I think I'm planning on using that blue thread. So again, we will see if I can get it threaded the first time around. So my mom and grandma sometimes watch these programs with me, and I'm sure that they're all laughing at me because they're both really, really good seamstresses, and I have never been good at it. Never. I think I'm just a sewing disaster is what it comes right down to. So doing these all this year has really been teaching me patience and some techniques that I'm sure that they both think I should have known already. But anyway, hi Mom, hi Grandma. Hope you're enjoying this program. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, again, kind of do a little running stitch here. If you wanted it to look really cute and finished, you could do that back stitch that we've been doing and practicing, or I've been practicing. You guys probably ought to already know how to do it. In the other slow stitching videos that we've done, or You could whip stitch it or mattress stitch it if you'd like, but I think you're gonna run into a problem with the whip stitch or the mattress stitch once you get to those leaves. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to do that running stitch here. Did you see how neatly I got that needle threaded? I'm really pleased with myself. It's like a first. What I really like about Melissa's kits that she makes for us is that they're actually all really natural felt. So that's the wool felt. And I think you can just tell as you're working with it that the difference in quality from like a piece of felt that you might get at, say, like Hobby Lobby or something. It is a completely different feel. And I really like that natural fiber feel and look. All right, so here we go. As you can see, I'm still just running stitching those together over the leaves there that we have held in our sandwich. So make sure you're just holding all those pieces really tight together as you're doing the running stitch so that nobody falls out before you sew them in, like I just did right there. See that? Every time I get confident, every time. But this last little thing here, I don't want to poke myself, but it's a lot of fabric to go through. So I want to make sure I get all those pieces. The one thing about the natural felt is it's tighter than the felt that you get at the craft store. The weave is tighter, so that's why it's a little bit harder to push your needle through. And it can actually dull your needle. So if you have one of those cute little strawberries hanging off of a tomato pin cushion that's full of sand to sharpen your needles, do it every now and then. Keeps them sharp, especially if you're sewing with felt. All right. So I'm done sewing those guys together. Shazam, I think that's really pretty cute. I'd wear that. I probably will wear that, actually. I've got a loop in the back. I'm gonna just tuck it in. Whoopsies. That was a mistake there. But you know what? I'm gonna take my needle, probably just cut it off later. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish it off inside, tie it off. And then I'll show you, Melissa actually sent me a finished product this time around so we can take a peek at it and see how she has connected that pin back. So there we go. There's that. Let me see, not good scissors. All right. So here's that. Your kit comes with a couple of pin backs. So let's look at Melissa's, and you can already see that hers is far prettier than mine. She did a couple extra little fellows there. She also did this neat little running stitch around the edges of both of those leaves, so if you wanted to do that, feel free to do that. If you wanted to make your flower stick up a little bit higher by doing some more stacks of that yellow felt, go for it. It is your oyster, do what you like. And I just wanted to show you, when she put that pin back on, do you see how she did that? She did that little whip stitch around that pin back so it's not going anywhere. Alternately, you could, if you wanted to, hot glue it on. It's always an option. If you're just like, I don't want to sew this anymore, I just am done, you can hot glue it on there. All right, so yeah, your kit does make 2. So I hope that you enjoy getting those made. And I would love to see pictures. So as always, if you feel comfortable, send me an email, sharon.rice@pueblo-library.org, with a picture of your finished product, and it just goes to me. I don't share it with anybody. It doesn't go up on our website. It's just for me to see that you guys are having a good time with these projects. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. And I'll see you next week. Next week we have Shannon from Sizzlin' Stampers, and then I've got a cool extra program the week after that with cards for Mother's Day. All right, guys, until I get to see you in person, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep making. Have a great day. Bye.